Hey friends, thanks for clicking on this video, joining in on a continuing conversation and an experiment. And I want to fill this time right now just simply because I have some water chilling off because I'm going to be experimenting with Brownells case hardening compound. Okay, it's supposed to be the replacement for casing it. I don't know for myself personally. I've heard some good comments on YouTube regarding it, but I want to find out for myself. So I'm going to be experimenting on a 1/4 inch piece of steel because I have a reason for doing this. Coming up the end of August 2026, depending on when you watch this, I will be shooting this revolver with a cylinder that has been loaded for 3 years with 777. Okay. Now when I first did this experiment way back then, somebody had left a comment saying they grow weak over time. Okay, fine. But are you willing to stand in front of one of these that have been loaded for 3 years just because you think it's grown weak over time? I think not. See, there's a lot of stuff out there, guys, that when you really sit down and try to make sense of it, you'll find it doesn't make any sense at all because it's a moot point how long this has been loaded and how weak the charge may have become, especially if it goes off. Now we all know that 777 is a pretty powerful black powder substitute, and sometimes in a gun like this, you can push 900 plus feet a second. So even if it does weaken a little bit, sitting for 3 years, to say, I don't know, let's just give a low ball number, 750 feet a second, would you still be willing to stand in front of it? And the answer is absolutely no. So for me, those comments are moot. What really should matter in a revolver that's been loaded like this for 3 years, will all 6 cylinders go off, 6 chambers go off? Okay. Ultimately, that's what really matters. And I guarantee you, even if it get weak enough to start throwing lead at 750 feet a second, that's more than enough to explode a gallon water jug full of water, isn't it? So those points are just moot. But I do want to see if it goes off. But before I do that, I was watching some of my previous videos on this particular Remington and realized that I had neglected to do something, and I kind of forgot about it because I knew I wouldn't be shooting this gun. If I was going to be shooting this gun all along up to this point, I would have taken care of it back then. But this gun sits in my house in a spot to where I can get to it if I have to, and need be, use it. Okay? So what the issue was, looking at some of my older videos, I had realized that at one point in time, a little bit of the trigger had broken off inside of the mechanism. And I cleaned it up, filed everything down, and it works perfect. In fact, to me now, that trigger is a whole lot lighter. It's not the regular factory, hard pull trigger. So I like it the way it is. But the thing that I forgot to do was to go back and re-harden that surface. So that's what I'm going to do now. But before I do that, I need to see how well this stuff works. Now in the past, I've used a product called Casing It, and I love that stuff. And when I finally used the last of it, I put a video on this channel hardening some triggers, some hammers on a 61 Navy, I think it was, one that I had bought used. And now what's available is this case hardening compound, and it does look a lot different than the stuff that I've had before, because this one, I'm not sure what those white specks are in there. I don't know how well the camera's picking it up, but you can see that there's some white flakes of something in it. That was never in the original can of Casonite that I had. All that was in it was just that gray powder stuff, which is carbon. Okay. So while the water is chilling, I want to discuss something else real quick. A couple of things real quick. Sometime back, a comment got to me from another YouTuber that he doesn't like, or he doesn't want to blend 2,3F and 4F fines in his gunpowder because he's heard that doing that, some people are getting as much as 300 feet difference. 300 feet a second spread, which is quite a bit, obviously. Okay? So, I'm going to read something and then I'm going to refer to another YouTube channel that I watched just this very morning. And that comes from the Swiss black powder website. Swiss black powder has long been considered the best. And if you notice, they put parentheses or quotation marks around the word the best. The best in black powder due to a long tradition of black powder production dedicated to quantity and components and workmanship. So I'm going to just stay right there. Swiss powder has long been considered the best. And obviously a lot of people on YouTube, a lot of people shooting this, repeat that. It's the best. It's the cleanest. It's the most powerful. Okay? I invite you to go to the channel Black Powder Fanatic. He put up a video real recently shooting 3 Colt type revolvers with the long barrel shorter and then the shortest. And he was trying to see how much feet per second, you know, he's going to lose by going to a shorter barrel. And he shoots through his chronograph, okay? And he's shooting 20 grains of Swiss 3F. And in one of those cylinders, he gets a 304.7 foot spread. So tell me again how my black powder is bad because I use a 2,3F blend with 4F fines, but mine is mostly 3F. Please tell me how my black powder is any worse or any better than Swiss when they consider themselves to be the best. And on that video, you will see, in fact, you go to the 6-minute mark in that video and start watching. Because he posts on the screen what the velocities were and what the extreme spread was. 304.7 feet spread. That's a lot for a gunpowder where they claim they're the best. Okay, so again, stop repeating stuff that you really don't know anything about. And I know a lot of this stuff comes from forums because people go back and forth on forums all the time. And thank you for the commenter that left a comment underneath one of my previous videos. You're absolutely right. This pissing match doesn't only happen between Colt and Remington guys. It happens between the 1911 guys and the Glock guys. So no matter what you do, you're going to get involved in somebody's pissing match, okay? Now, go to the channel Black Powder Felon. He just recently put one up thanking Blackie Thomas for his gun butter. He has a Remington, I believe it's the Sheriff's model, and I think it's in stainless steel. It looks like it's in stainless steel. He goes to the gun range, and he shoots through, what, 6, 7 cylinders? Without any issues at all, using Blackie Thomas's gun butter. And when he gets done, he takes and spins the cylinder when he's finished with 6 or 7 cylinders, and it spins just as free and fast as that first cylinder does. So again, lubrication has a lot to do with black powder management, along with cutting grooves in your pin. It's not just one thing only, it's a combination of 2 things. Okay, I think my water is chilled enough. What I'm going to do is take this piece of 1/4-inch square stock and I'm going to heat it up to cherry red, and then I'm going to swirl it around in this case hardened compound. Not in the plastic container because this stuff will get hot if you do it. So I'm going to transfer this into a tin can so that when I get this piece of metal cherry red, I can go ahead and stir it around. Now myself, I like doing it that way. There's another way to do it. You can get your part cherry red and then you can put that case hardening compound on the surface, put the torch back to it, and just let it bubble in and cook into the steel. And the more you repeat this process, the thicker the case hardening is going to be. Okay, so let me get set up here. It's going to get noisy, so I will cut out, I will edit the video until we get to that point of where I need to get the part into the caseonite, and I'll get this out of the way, and then we'll see how this all works. Hold the phone, I forgot a step. Just so that you can see that this metal is already soft, you can see that the file is dragging and cutting. If this is properly hardened, the file should just, you know, skate across the top without gouging it. So, all right, let's see if we can get this done right. Hopefully the camera's picking up that it's turning cherry red right now. Smells like it used to. And you can kind of see that there's a buildup of that carbon. So what I'm going to do is put that back in front of the flame and let that cook into the steel. Or the soft metal, I should say, not steel, because it's not steel, it's just cold rolled. And years ago, this is how people used to make strikers. For flint strikers, they take the square stock, forge it out, and then cook caseonite, case hardening compound into the face of it, and then that becomes your striking surface. Yeah, it's getting a little warm. Now at this point it's a little hard to see the color change in the metal. Now comes the quench. And the colder the water, the better it's going to work. Now I know on the container it suggests even letting it air cool. It says right here, quench immediately in water, oil, or let cool and brush off excess compound. I've always used a case hardening compound to quench it in ice water because it shocks the metal into the hardness. Okay. And if you can see, let me get a rag and kind of wipe this off, because if you look at it, you can see that the metal is now like a gunmetal gray. When that tells me that it's been properly hardened. But until I run a file across it, I won't know for sure. And like I said, I've never used this cherry red, so we're gonna find out together. Same file. It's not gouging, it's just gliding across the surface. So you can hear the difference. Still a little warm back here, but the file is just glancing off. Now bear in mind, if I'd have done this a couple more times, the hardening of the surface hardening would have been, you know, a little harder and a little bit deeper. But you can see And again, because I can determine the colors, the gunmetal gray is properly hardened. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and harden that trigger on that 58 Remington. Alright, so I get the trigger out, and looking at the trigger, I can tell you I did not case harden it once I filed everything back down to working order. So that's what I'm going to do now. And quite honestly, there isn't any need to do the entire trigger, and probably it's going to be difficult to get any heat down into the trigger section just simply because of the bolt hole. That heat is going to just get to that point and kind of disperse. So, and in all reality, all I want is just the sear to be hardened. So let's get that accomplished. Okay, I gotta finish cleaning out the screw hole a little bit more, but you can look at the top of that and you can see that it's gunmetal gray. I have a small file, and taking that file, it's just gliding over the surfaces. And that's all it is. It's just surface hardening compound. So it will prevent these parts from wearing out sooner than later. So anyhow, got to get the screw hole cleaned out. It's got a little bit of gunk in it. But give me a minute or two to get that done, and I'll reinstall this into the Remington and we'll see how it functions. Okay, with everything back together and lubricated, works just fine. And because I know that the surface is hard, those two pieces, the sear and the trigger, not going to break unless the hammer is not properly hardened. But I do not suspect that it's improperly hardened, because you can see that gunmetal gray in through the coloring that they do on the hammer. Plus, I figured that out also when I cut that little square notch right here that allows me to put this hammer deeper into the safety notches. So, in a couple more weeks, when the time is right, I'll take this out to my little shooting range and see if I can get some good numbers from the 777 that's been loaded for 3 years. And once again, if not, I really don't care, because no one's going to stand in front of this when they think, just because they think it's the charge has grown weak. It's not going to happen. So for me, once again, those are just moot points. Alright, thanks for watching. If you gleaned something from this, I hope you share it with your bestest of buds. Hopefully give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed by now, oh well, bye.